Hello, everyone. Hello. Macho in the building. Don't be worried. Savory will be right here real soon. But today I wanted to cover a really intense discussion. I want to set the record straight on police activity in our cities, in our suburbs, just in our nation as a whole. I want to set the record straight and talking about officer involved shootings. What do they have to deal with? Are they held accountable for their actions? What are some of these big elites and mainstream? What are they saying? Keep it locked right here. You don't want to miss out on how we interpret these things. And right here, we have an example
Beatrice?
of an officer involved interaction. Check this out.
Yeah, they say Beatrice. There been any fighting or anything going on here today? How many different houses are? Oh, they're positive it's here. You know Emmanuel? No? Alright, who else is up here with you? Just us? Whose kids are those up front? It's a separate thing or what? Is it something separate? I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Everything's alright. I don't know, there ain't no problem right here. I don't see any.
Okay, well I'm here for some reason.
Why? What's
Well,
going
because
on?
we got a call saying there was a fight between some guy and a girl. Guy named Emmanuel, a girl named Beatrice.
Ain't no girl named Beatrice or Emmanuel around here. I don't know.
No idea what I'm talking about?
Wrong location. I don't know.
Huh?
You probably got the wrong location. I don't know, because there ain't nobody named Emmanuel or Beatrice around here.
Whose kids are those up front?
Oh, where?
So
This photo right
we
here?
got just pause that right there. So basically, what we got here is a situation of This seems like it appears to be a domestic violence call, and the officers responding, and they got two people there sitting in front of the establishment, and now the officer is just calmly just asking them some questions, going through some things. Roll the film.
How you doing? What's your name? A what? Okay.
I don't know what.
What's that?
I don't know what's going on with this.
Well, I just told you. What's this?
Just fast forward a bit so we can get into some of this action, but we wanted to show the initial interaction of how these police interactions usually start. Would you agree, Macho? More of a calm thing before we actually get into the,
Extremely calm. Extremely calm.
Yes, I would say 99% of them. So it's good we show that so people can see them. Now we'll roll to how things can quickly escalate.
Okay.
You know, you've been doing all these things and my baby's been missing, so you better be quiet, amigo.
You're not going to tell me to be quiet for the reason I'm here. Okay. Hey. Don't you fucking move. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Don't move. Chill. Take a step down there, all right? Stop.
That's the first case, right? So, yeah, this by the way, top two cases, dangerous situations for a police officer is domestic violence call and pulling a person over.
And
right?
this resulted in a shooting, correct?
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. Well, I'll let you see as it rolls forward.
Yankee 21 taser deployment 21 code 3 stepping up. Get your hands behind your back now. Put them behind your back. Put your arms behind your back, man.
Put your arms behind your back.
Hey, amigo.
I don't want to hurt
Put
you.
your arms behind your back.
Put your arms behind your back. I don't want. This is again. I hate to press on this, and I know we'll get into this, Macho. But this is a common thing I see. Follow instructions. Put your hands behind your back. Relax. Handle it in court. I'll keep playing this.
Fíjate lo que me hace.
Put him behind your back.
Fíjate lo que me hace. Eso no está bien lo
Put
que
him
me
behind your back.
hace.
Put him behind your back. Put him behind your back.
Okay, don't do that shit.
Keep him there.
Don't do this shit,
I
man.
won't do it again if you put your arms behind your back. All right?
Hey, amigo. I'm not even been doing nothing, amigo.
Okay, put your arms behind your back. Let go of that.
FYI, we're coming to the heat of this video, but we just want to walk you through some of this here. But look, the person is not listening. That's how I'm gonna leave it. I'm just saying, you're not
non-compliant listening. Is called.
Non-compliant is called. Non-compliant is not that you have a lethal weapon and you're shooting with a gun. Non-compliant is exactly what it means. Non-compliant.
And we're already we're already almost like 5 minutes into this interaction.
Yeah, I'll fast forward a little bit because again, most of it starts pretty calm, right? So I'm kind of just going so you can see these situations, how they escalate here.
I think that Mark is probably where did the shooting take place?
Yeah, I'm trying to
just
see.
before that. Yeah. She's
saying in Spanish, you've always hit me. You've always hit me. So domestic violence, he tried to keep her quiet. It didn't work out. She came on. She started saying in Spanish, he's the one hitting me.
And that's why they were sitting in front of the house.
Exactly. To prevent me from coming in and act like everything was normal.
I didn't want it to do it this way, man. He's the one that did it. No. What he did is messed up. All right?
What I did, amigo? What I did?
Just stop.
Hey, you better stop. Because you not even know who you be fucking with.
Okay.
You ain't gonna take me out of here, amigo.
Look at me. Please go to the bottom of the steps. I know. Look at me. I am sorry, but I need you at the bottom of the steps.
Fuck that.
Please.
You might as well shoot me too, man.
Brother, come on. Look at me.
Come on, man.
Come on. Hey.
Man, that's fucked up, dude.
I want to see the shooting.
Chill out, buddy.
So everything's calm at this point.
Stop. All right, stop. Fucker. Hey, stop.
So he reached for his taser. The camera doesn't fully show. I want you to hear the gunshots, but
stop. Stay down. Stop. Keep your ass down there. Stop. Stay down here.
There's just a couple of things here, Savory, that we can examine. Let's just Let's just bring our faces here,
Yeah,
our
man.
lovely faces. There's a couple of things here, folks, that we can examine and we can rip this apart. But really quickly, before we enter our segment of Mind Your Business, one, this is a person responding to the call by himself in an area. It doesn't matter where he is. The point of the matter is that you have a lot of officers who have to respond to these scenes by themselves or with just one other person. And you see how many people are there. Okay. Now, the job is they have to now maintain the climate of the situation and say, okay, hey, guys, let's calm it down here. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It could be nothing. I can call this off right now, but I have to figure out why am I being called here? Why am I being dispatched to this area? Is someone being hurt? Is someone destroying property? I need to make sure these things and give the clearance and give a code green, because if I can't give a code green, making sure that the area is safe, then I can't go back on patrol. So he has a job to do. Now, again, Savory just highlighted, he asked the person several times and he deployed his taser. Also acknowledging to dispatch, I just deployed my taser. So now people are coming. Why? Because he just used an instrument on a citizen. He's going to need a supervisor there. He's going to need other officers there to control the scene. They have to now evaluate the situation. The situation's escalated. And then he goes and he grabs his taser, resulting in a shooting. So why is these things happen more often than not, right, Sabri?
Yeah. Most, and then I wanted to highlight this in that, right? That most of these, we're about to go show you guys some videos, some things, but it's overwhelmingly starts calm. What
Yeah,
escalates, we can't
facts.
just put that on the police, right? We have to kind of see what that escalation actually is and how both parties are involved beyond race, right? That's kind of my goal today. Open up that side of the conversation, and through the videos, we definitely hope to do that, man.
Very good. Let's move on. The topic of Mind Your Business today is Jim Shudo, whether he should mind his business or not. So, everyone, be prepared because we want your vote.
For those of y'all who tuned in, by the way, police brutality, criminal justice system. So we're going over cases of the difficult jobs that police have and the interactions they come across, your everyday citizen. Yeah, go ahead, Marsh.
In the South Bronx, just before midnight, police stopped 5 young men for driving a car with an expired license plate. They recognize one of the occupants for previous criminal activity and cannot verify the other's identities, so they take him to the station. The 4-6 was once known as the most dangerous square mile.
I've never seen this.
Shooting incidents in New York City this May were up 73% compared to the same period last year, according to the NYPD. In the 4-6, these officers find many of the shooters and victims are still in their teens.
And it's a
And so this Jim Shudo is in the car with these officers and asking these officers several questions. Why are these crime rates? What's going on? Is it different? And this officer here, a female officer, is saying, I grew up here and noticing a large spike. And here's what she has to say.
To see this, to see 16-year-old kids shooting and killing each other. And that's what we do see a lot of here. And we have 16-year-olds with robbery patterns and murder charges. And it's like they didn't actually get to be kids.
A radio call brings
right there. So that's what the officers have to deal with in a place like New York City, with kids shooting each other, kids having robbery patterns, kids having attempted murder charges already that they're dealing with. So you already have the statistics on what's going on in the area that you're patrolling. And Jim Shudo continues with this right along.
Word of a hit-and-run driver. We arrived to find the victim on the ground and bleeding. Ask police officers and their commanders why crime is rising, and they describe a mix of factors. The end of the pandemic has brought residents out of their homes. Guns have flooded these communities. The jump in New York City has also coincided with changes to policing and the justice system. New York enacted bail reform to reduce or eliminate jail time for suspects while awaiting trial for many misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies. Police say this has had the unintended consequence of putting repeat offenders back on the street.
I'll still be at work, and they'll be
they'll be back at the precinct picking up their property before I'm even done with court.
Really?
There you go. And
Hmm.
again, this is Jim Shudo who is asking them these questions on the ride along. And I ask anyone in favor for Jim Shudo to mind his business, yay or nay. Savory, what do you think?
This is an interesting one, right? Because you're doing a ride along. I'm not sure what his objective is, right? And I'm looking at CNN doing a ride along. I'm looking at the media going because a lot of times I see this, right? And what is it that's being pushed? Right? Are you trying to ask certain amount of questions to run on your next coverage, the next nightly coverage where you want to run with a certain narrative? Or are you generally there to do a ride along and learn about the communities? Unfortunately, I'm gonna play the pessimistic card you played yesterday with Trevor Noah, and kind of move to the direction like, look, they're supposedly involved in this now and really want to shed light. I think they have an agenda, so I'm gonna vote mind your business because the media so much distrust when it comes to how they report these things, not support. Yeah, so
I get really frustrated. You know exactly how where I am in my position is CNN put out that article or that news coverage in June 2021. But
mhm.
you were talking about and covering defunding the police in 2020 or abolishing the police in
Mm,
2020.
yeah,
And
exactly my
now
point. Yep.
I start to ask questions. What is your agenda? What is your motive?
Why?
Are you really seeing what police officers are dealing with? You mentioned the bail reform. You mentioned that you have kids with crime patterns. But yet in 2020 or on other segments of your shows, the Joy Reids of the world, the Rachel Maddows, and you're talking about what exactly? That
Exactly.
police are racially motivated? So I don't know where you guys stand. I'm inclined to say Jim Shudo, don't mind your business, but I would say the timely is costly here. And you should have been saying this a long time ago. You should have been having these ride-alongs for years. You can
Hmm, hmm.
still have ride-alongs, support your police while criticizing them. And CNN doesn't know how to do that. So yeah, I vote in favor of mind your business. Anyone in the chat also agree.
Yeah,
So
yeah, makes all the sense to me, especially if the narrative's been pushed the opposite direction. I can't give you the benefit of the doubt because you do that one time. Yeah, so
it's so drastic, Savory, and it's like you know that this is an issue of public safety. You know what they're dealing with, but now you choose to cover it
hmm
because Fox is probably slamming you guys on this. You guys are losing ratings. CNN ratings is dipping, and they're realizing, oh, they're watching Fox. Oh, they're watching how they support the police. Maybe we need to start trickling that in a little bit. I start to get
yeah,
real cynical about these things, and again, we should have been supporting them from the very beginning.
should
They should do real journalism always. Facts. Whether
agree.
it's for their narrative or against their narrative, it doesn't matter. First off,
Mhm,
these outlets shouldn't have a narrative. They should just be reporting what's actually going on. You could still have a
mhm.
conservative eye to it, and you can still have a liberal eye to it. But when they're bending it in favor on what their agenda is, I start to call bluff on that. So yeah, there, I had some questions here, Savory, about some of the things here. I had a Washington Post article here that I pulled up on TikTok that I was so fascinated by here, and you have it on your end there. Um, and this was written in 2016. This
Mhm.
was a 2016 article by Tom Jackman. June 22nd, 2016. And the headline, oh, excuse me for the bell there. Sorry, guys. Uh, Study finds police officers arrested 1,100 times per year, approximately 3 per day nationwide. 3 per day nationwide. They put a convenient, at a glance graph here, and I'm gonna share this. I'm actually gonna share this screen here,
Yeah,
Savory.
yeah, I see it
So I think
here.
it'll be great beneficial for everyone to see this on this
Want me to
article
share
here.
it?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool.
Check out this this at a glance that they have here. So what you're looking at here is their graph of from 2005 to 2011, there were a
Mhm.
total of 6,724 officers or police officers arrested in cases. Okay. So my question here that I've been asking a lot of people as we're looking at this graph My question is, Savory, are police officers held accountable? Are they held accountable?
There's two facets to this. From this data, you have to. I want to think from what I'm saying here. Right, that's about 1,100. And the numbers are about 3 per day. That's more than I expected.
Facts. That's
You
more than
know,
we even hear.
yeah, it's more than we even hear at all. So from those numbers, I'm thinking to myself, wait, hold up. Wow, that many police officers get arrested? Wow, I don't hear not even a portion of that. If it's up to me just listening to the media, I would tell you a handful per year get arrested.
And this is
Which
liberal
there's
media.
something
This is
wrong.
Washington Post is liberal.
Mhm.
And they're actually citing, but they took this spin. Here's their spin. Here's their spin on things, Savory. In the 7 years of the study, the researchers compiled 6,724 cases, or about 960 cases per year, involving about 792 officers per year. 674 officers were arrested more than once. But the study has continued beyond 2011 and led researchers Philip M. Stinson and Bowling Green said the number of cases now average at about 1,100 arrests per year. And here's their spin. Here's their spin. Police crimes are not uncommon, Stinson concluded. Our data directly contradicts some of the prevailing assumptions and the propositions that that only a small group of rotten apples perpetuate the vast majority of police crimes. What say you, Savory? What are you thinking when you hear that?
Although, let me see. I just want to see right here where you were going, if you don't mind. Although nearly
Yeah, yeah.
60% of the crimes occurred when the officer was technically off duty, a significant portion of these so-called off-duty crimes also lies within the concept of police work. Although, yeah, how are they getting that, right? So now they're
Aside
saying,
from that, aside from how they're getting it, Savory, they're contradicting the prevailing thing. Oh, there's only a few bad apples. They're saying there's more than a few bad apples. But my question is, are they being held accountable? That's where I'm getting at.
yeah, and again, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, we have a lot of police officers, right? I would say millions of police officers. So statistically speaking, even if 2 or 3 of them are getting arrested daily, I think 2 things. One, the justice system is working, right? It seems like from what I'm seeing,
Right.
right? And number 2, it's only a high number in percentage to what, right? Like I could tell you right now, 5 people died in America. That doesn't mean much, but if I give you context, 5 people died in America off a virus with a small town of 20 people, right? That's you see what I'm saying? That's 25% of the people there. So in percentage of the police force, I don't think it goes against the evidence. I still feel it's going to be a small percentage of the actual police force. Sounds like a lot, but we're talking about 50 states and thousands of police officers in every state.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's not forget, this is the segment of Nobody versus the Experts. Yeah, and again, just to continue what you were just saying there, and if we're looking at these things and you want to sway it and you want to push it and say, hey, well, there's more than a few bad apples. Well, we're saying to you, are those few bad apples being held accountable? Are more than those few bad apples being held accountable? Is anyone doing what they do? Are they being held accountable? And we have video clips here to suggest that they are. We have a comment there in the chat there from someone from Twitch. Welcome. Hello and welcome to the show.
I think
Drinks with a Nobody.
I don't think that's a relevant comment, but thank you for joining anyways if you hear us, but I don't know, real free, high quality anyways.
I didn't
You're
read
gonna
that, so.
you're gonna roll something now, video?
Yeah, I got something here of
Let's
a
do it.
police officer who was sentenced to a pretty hefty sentence. Check this out.
New since 4, we're hearing from the girlfriend of this man. Police officers tased him to death. Today, a judge decided Officer Marcus Eberhard should spend the rest of his life in prison. His partner, Howard Reams, received a 5-year sentence, but will serve 18 months of that behind bars. In an exclusive interview, Officer
Wow.
Weems explained how the whole situation could have been avoided. But first, Channel 2's Tom Regan live with why the victim's girlfriend is so upset.
So as you see there as the premise, that this officer is going to jail for life for tasing a person to death. That person, that officer
Wow.
is not a white officer. It's a black officer. So there's a narrative here we're going to spin, but there's a reason why we're doing this. Check this out.
Well, Dave, the former partner of the taser victim was relieved when a jury convicted these two men on Friday, but she told us she is not satisfied with this sentencing.
Really?
I think moving forward, I would no longer put my faith in police officers, the courts, or anything like that.
Asa Smith denounced the sentence handed down.
Got Savory going.
What she's not happy about? The 5 years or the life sentence? The guy who tased got that. How many years was it?
Life. The guy who tased him to death got life.
The
He's
partner got 5. What was satisfaction? You wanted him to be hung in the middle of your neighborhood for everyone to see? Where did we move here? This is the problem with letting people define justice outside of the system. Anyways, don't let me go on my rant
And
here.
no. You're doing great. No. I want you unhinged, Savory. I want you to get unhinged here.
Yeah. I need to see this. Let me see what this lady. She's already driving me crazy. She's not
Well,
satisfied.
there's a spin to this. There's a major spin to this, and I want you guys to see what happens here as this spins.
Down to one of the former officers convicted of killing her boyfriend, Gregory Towns Jr., who's also the father of her son. Towns died suddenly after former East Point cops Marcus Eberhardt and Howard Weems repeatedly tased him while he was in handcuffs in April 2014. He had been arrested for assaulting Smith. She regrets calling 911 that day.
They were called to the scene because he was beating the crap out of her.
By the way, how
I'm not laughing at her. I can't understand.
No, the irony is funny. All these cases, the person is one person who calls the cop on someone else. That's why people in the hood don't want to defund the police, because it's the neighbor calling the cop, not the white Karen sitting in the corner like we like to think. It's the neighborhood, your neighbor, the person in the grocery store, the person walking the dog, the person who knows you is usually the person calling the cops on you. And then we turn around and say we should have never called the cops.
Unreal.
They could keep beating you and just anyways. I'm not saying you should have died, but there's anyways. Yeah, go ahead.
And here's what she says.
I carry a lot of guilt to this day.
She says the officers killed her boyfriend with unnecessary excessive force, and because of that, her son will grow up without a father. Eberhardt, who ordered the tasing of Towns, was convicted of felony murder. He received a life sentence, but is eligible for parole in 30 years. Weems, convicted of involuntary...
So he's eligible for parole in 30 years. He's going to spend the next 30 years in prison. So I don't know how much satisfaction do you need? And I start to say, what kind of vengeance do we need to satisfy the anger and bitterness in our hearts, Savory? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, like, again, where do we move? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the problem with letting other people define justice in their own terms. Everybody's going to want to do something different with the case, right? That's why we have a justice system, right, that gives everybody an equal day in court, right? We like to think that but there's no evidence that these judges, let alone the jury, right, is deciding based on skin color. We gave the Kyle Rittenhouse that week, and then the next day we gave Andrew Coffey. The media didn't even mention.
Hold on a second there. Hold on. He's unhinged, guys. He's unhinged. We have another clip here of another officer who is facing charges and was actually convicted of a crime, and another example of accountability.
And in prison for fatally shooting a motorist.
CBS 4's Ted Scott was in the courtroom as Newman Raja was sentenced. Ted joins us live from West Palm Beach with more. Ted?
Elliot and Rutabaga, Newman Raja looking quite different today in court after spending more than a month in jail after his conviction. And today we learned that he will spend the next 25 years in prison.
On count 1, I hereby sentence him to 25 years in the Department of Corrections. And on count 2, I hereby sentence Mr. Raja to 25 years in the Department of Corrections.
Newman Raja looking rough after a month in jail, but avoiding a life sentence, getting 25 years on each count. They'll be served at the same time. He was convicted last month of killing stranded motorist Corey Jones. Raja was a cop at the time. His wife had little to say afterwards.
Were you surprised that it was at 25 years?
So just as a quick just to make sure we got everybody together on this. This officer, who is also another person of color, if you haven't seen that with your own eyes, if you're just only able to hear, another person of color committed a use of force violation that the courts deemed egregious. So they have convicted this officer to 25 years concurrently with both counts of that. And the wife has something to say that I thought was very interesting here.
As opposed to higher?
Not surprised, hopeful. Thank you.
In court, Raja wiped away tears as his wife asked for leniency, describing her husband as a family man, not a killer.
My husband, my partner, my best friend. He has been in jail for 49 days. Since his imprisonment, we have received 141 letters from him. 3 per day to be precise. 1 for me and 1 for each one of our children. Raja's not a father, he's a daddy. Actually, he's a better parent to our children than I'll ever be.
Here we go. Yet another Benjamin Crump sighting. You can't get enough of this guy, Savory. We can't get enough of this guy. But here's another example of an officer who is held accountable for his actions. We're not arguing the facts of the case. We're not saying whether we're on their side or not on their side. Here's another example of an officer being held accountable for his actions. Would you agree, Savory?
I agree. And again, most people, including myself, I've seen some of these cases, not these specifically, but some of these cases where police officers get held accountable. But look, so many of them we don't see. So many of them are not in the front news, outlet medias, newspapers, Wall Street Journal. So it's because look, who was surprised that 2 or 3 cops daily are going to jail, right? By the way, Julie, we see your comment. This is interesting. You said you did this final project. You
on
seen
the first
way,
video clip, on the first one that we rolled of the accountability.
Okay, have you seen the way Miss Cops handle a arm the last week? Is that a case you're talking about? Not sure. Our cops should be used as a training for dealing with an armed person. He is the new Al Sharpton.
Oh, she's talking about Benjamin Crump. Yeah.
Crump.
And again, there are a lot of situations and nuances that we're gonna go here. We're gonna touch on today. We can't cover it all, but we're gonna touch on some of these topics during our discussion here. But here's another example of another officer being held accountable for his actions.
Sentence that a lot of people in the community were glad to hear, saying it's finally justice for Jeremy Martis. But as for Derek Stafford's family, they had a lot to say about the sentence and about how the community, the media, and social media have treated their family.
Derek Stafford was escorted by police into court Friday morning, shackled in an orange jumpsuit. The first thing addressed was a motion by the defense for a new trial, a standard move, but one that was denied. Also, a motion filed last year by the state that would require a higher sentence because a firearm was used. That was granted. During impact statements, Kathy Martis, Jeremy's maternal grandmother, became emotional and said, "I miss Jeremy so much, and the day I saw him born, I expected more than 6 years with him." Next up was Chris Few. While he never said anything about Jeremy and his...
This was a major case that happened a few years ago of an officer that apparently, Savory, I don't know if you know or you're aware of it, but apparently an officer was involved, or I don't know how, but may have been in a relationship with this gentleman here, as you see in the white polo shirt here, may have been involved with this gentleman, Christian Few's wife or ex-wife or girlfriend, and something happened in the mix of that where that officer apprehended or stopped them at a traffic stop, and it ended up in a shooting resulting in the death of their child. So yeah, so here's another person of color who's an officer. I'm not demonizing them, but I'm saying I'm bringing this to the forefront here because I'm asking the question to the audience. Anyone who comes across this, is this an issue of race? Savory, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, when you look across the board and you honestly look at the data, you'll be hard pressed to really make a good argument on race, right?
Yeah.
And the reason that is just the reality, right? You're showing us people of color, black cops who are being convicted of their crimes.
Right.
We also showed in past episodes of black people and white people who are being convicted or being not guilty, right, when it comes to these cases of self-defense and things like that. Like, and then you have then to think that the criminal justice system is racist, now it's like arguing that the jurors are also part of this system where they're voting a certain way because they have a certain systemic idea or being influenced by a systemic racist idea of the country. You know, it's just such a hard sell, but people
It's a rabbit hole.
people take those small cases and instances, I do have a clip, Macho. I don't know
Let's
if
play
you
it.
want me to squeeze this in now. This is
Squeeze
about
it.
a cop being shot, right? Why? Because our mission here is to bring these different perspectives, right? We want to show this. Again, it's not about picking one side or the other. It's just showing you that both realities happen, right?
Mhm.
So check this out. So this is police. Actually, let me play right here so you guys can see, right? It all happens pretty quick here. Officer Quincy of the Estelle Police Department was called to a local convenience store about a man harassing people outside of the store. 20 months later, Hampton Courthouse, Smith will testify at the goggles or best $30 he ever spent. You'll see where this is going. Because when he arrives, he encounters Malcolm, known to some locals as Mac Mac. So this is the police officer approaching Mac Mac, the street name.
Expires 06. Correction. 07/15/2016, 29 clear.
Dispatch Echo 71023.
By the way, I'm going to say this. Most of these calls, what did I say earlier? They start pretty calm. The officer is just doing his job, has a family. And this is why these things piss me off, because we dehumanize these police officers in the name of justice, thinking that these people are just like the Gestapos of Germany, kind of like complying with a crazy system. Like, oh, these people are just doing jobs. So all different races and colors. Anyways, let's keep playing.
And the thing is, Savory, just a
Yeah.
little bit, if I may.
Mhm.
And we're not speaking in light of being pro-police. We're saying obviously there's a issue. And my thing is, the trade-off is if these police officers are actually committing crimes, if you in case you missed the beginning of the show, we've had statistics to back up that police officers are being held accountable, because people are saying we want more accountability for the police. Well, they're being held accountable. They're going to jail. A lot of them are going to jail. Okay.
Mhm.
So when we have an issue with crime and use of force tactics, which is the common theme here, right, Savory? Right?
Yeah.
What do we do? How do we have this conversation, and what is the trade-off? So if we allow officers to operate and think for themselves, they also have to be subject to that. If they do certain things, they're going to be facing. They're probably going to have to face criminal charges, right?
Yeah, for sure. It
It's the
goes both
trade-off.
ways. That's all we're trying to
Trade-off.
say. And again, we're only focusing on this side because it's talked about less. Let's put it like that, right? To
Yeah.
shed a light to some of these issues, right? So
Hello, how you doing, ma'am?
That tree over there.
What is he doing again?
He tried to snatch that man bottle of liquor, but the man jumped in the car, was trying to find him back. He out and ran past
Okay,
him.
I see him.
You see him?
Mhm.
right, guys, here we go.
Dispatch, Echo 7. I'll be out with that subject. Come here, man. Come here for a second. Come here. If you don't, you better stop, or I would. Come here.
What is that called? What the gentleman is doing right now when the police officer is telling you to come here and you walk. What is that called?
Non-compliant.
All right, thank you. Let's keep playing this.
Come here. Stop. 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 Take your hands out your pocket. Take your hands out your pocket. If you don't stop, so I'm gonna tase you. I'm not playing with you. Take your hands out your pocket. Take your hands out your pocket. Take your hands out your pocket.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Wow. Wow.
Yo, you know.
Wow. I don't even know what to say here.
When you have these when you have these interactions, you never know what's gonna happen. I gave an example in one of my lives. You police different areas differently. If I'm policing in the south side of Chicago, right? And I'm policing in Fort Lee, New Jersey, or in a very good area, I'm policing differently. Not because they're black, brother. Not because they're Hispanic. But because these neighborhoods, depending on how you approach these situations, you just never know what you're going to get into. And again, sometimes the cops are totally wrong in what they do, but we're just shedding light to they have a difficult job. And the primary point of the main point of what they're doing is really, look, they're doing their job. They're trying to serve justice, get these criminals in jail. And then we make it more difficult for them. Right? Imagine being a cop. I don't want to be a cop in a state where I feel hesitant.
Still blown away by that, dude.
Look at that. That was intense. I wanted to show that, you know, and I know you had your video too. I hope that, but it was just so relevant to what you were talking about injustice. I wanted to also show the dangers of this thing, right? And just really quick, right? I hate to show this gruesome, but that was in the matter of 4 seconds, your life changes.
And he's still shooting at him. He's still shooting at him.
And running back, getting back up.
Shots fired!
So he's hit at this moment, right?
Yeah, he's hit multiple times. He said, tell my family I loved them. He told them and everything. Yeah.
Dispatch, I'm in! There's Echo 7, I'm in! I'm a Tyson. Dispatch, help.
Wow. Wow.
Anyways, wow. I show that why. We show the other side of the story, but we ignore
Julie,
one side.
He survived, right? He survived.
He survived.
That?
Thank God he survived. He was to the point of death. You know, he tell my family I loved them. He said and everything over the radio when they came. His partner had him there, was putting pressure on the blood. Ended up getting to hospital. Literally just survived. Is how they, you know. So it's like, look.
Can we talk about the level of arrogance our society has? Just looking at this situation, when we sit down at a round table, I'm going to even challenge our own arrogance as we sit down at these tables, comfy, drinking our coffee. You're drinking your strange mud coffee. Okay, as we sit down comfortable here, we can sit down and put our brains together, put our minds together, have a strategy moment. But yet those guys are out there right now having to face those situations, have to be put in those situations. And we have members of our military, we have other officers contradicting each other, and they're having these infighting. Now, I'm not saying that the military personnel don't have a thing or two to say about how police officers are conducting themselves, but it doesn't change the reality of what they're dealing with. Crime is ugly, it's nasty, it's gruesome.
It's
and it happens in
unpredictable. You
it's
just never
unpredictable.
know. Like you said, it's gruesome. It's unpredictable. You could have 100 great days, and that one day could change your entire life. Not every field of work is like that, bro. But being a cop is. You might be
Yeah.
fortunate enough. Some might be fortunate enough to have a 20+ year career, but many in the without really getting into the craziness like that. But many are in the brink of some type of life or death situation if you're on the job long enough.
And you never know what to. Some of them never even discharge their weapon. Never. 20 years, 30-year career, never discharged their weapon. And now you have certain instances where officers are in these situations often. Now,
Yeah.
we've showed that certain people are held accountable for their actions. About
Mhm.
3 a day, according
Yeah.
to the Washington Post, are being held accountable for their actions. And then when the military says, "Okay, we have our ideas," but here's a video clip by Vox that suggests when they had. You remember that whole push on Bill Maher that argued why police officers look so militant?
Hmm.
You remember that?
I think I have. It's one of the skits he was
Check this
breaking
out.
down there. Yeah. Buff
This
B.
was a
Mora, we
protest
see
near
your
the White
comment,
House
by the
on
way.
June
I'll
1st.
look at that
And it's
case.
been an entirely peaceful protest.
It was met by forces with helmets, riot shields, rifles, and tear gas. The authorities here were a mix of police and military. There were Secret Service, Park Police, the National Guard, prison special operations, and local police from a nearby county. But can you tell which ones are the police? If it's hard to tell, it's these guys, by the way. It's because
that right there is the angle, right? So if you're saying, "Oh, well, we need to have a military approach, or we need to have more military tactics, equipment, or anything of the like," this will make you start to think. Nothing's outside of criticism in today's media. Check this out.
America's police have been looking more and more like troops.
Get in the hole!
So why do American police officers look like soldiers? And where did they get all these weapons?
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! This was a peaceful protest!
That's right. This video is by Vox. I want to clip it there because just to give you guys an idea, they're going to look deep into this, how they're getting this military style equipment, how they look, how they're being perceived, how they're being looked at. People don't like that. People don't like the military form style tactics. And they also talk about how they got there, right? There was a shooting in California, a bank robbery, as this video continues, Savory. And these officers had nothing, not even bulletproof vests. Okay? Only on extreme circumstances, they had certain guys wear vests. Now everyone is vest up. Now everyone have high power weapons. Now everything is for the taking. And now, I see here, Brandon, thank you for joining, by the way. You said inequality tends to put everyone at risk. We talk about bad neighborhoods, but what causes this issue? And we talked
That can lay out a lot of other conversations.
Oh yeah.
There's
But I
definitely
just
causes,
I
but
want to
I'll go beyond the topic.
I want to briefly surmise that real quick. That question alludes to the idea as the white versus black issue. And I like to look at things a bit more broader and say, even if I'll play the card, even if we were segregated into these hoods and pushed into these hoods, it should not change the way people act. Period. Just
Yeah.
because you're secluded or put into an area, that does not give you the license to get that instrument in your hand and start popping off at your fingertips just to start now shooting at police and shooting at your fellow man.
Yeah. Quick too. I see Buff B. Moore. Are you still in here? Curious. I'm wondering. You're mentioning a case, the Ryan Whitaker, right? White dude shot by cops.
Yeah.
I pulled it up, but I'm just curious on his thought on why he brought that up already to if he's still in here. But okay, he's still in here. You have a video you want to play? I'd love to engage with some of what the people wanted here.
I'm
what
done.
you think about that? All right, cool. I'm gonna
Let's
just
go.
play this before we do the segment, right? By the way, this is our first time watching it. We want to engage with our people in here as well. So thank you for joining us. And we'll see what went down here. I'm gonna look at the
I'm
first one I
curious.
found.
as we
Okay,
share this screen
so
here.
so right here.
Thank you for joining, by the way. We appreciate that. We like people throwing their. We have Julie here. She's always active in our chat. We usually have Felicia here. She's always active in our chat, and so on and so forth.
I don't know how far in the action. It seems like they're answering a call. Might be domestic violence.
Would you like all that helpful info we got from our complainant? See me on this side.
I guess they didn't get helpful info.
So they don't even know. They're wandering.
Yeah, they don't know. So.
There's a break
into the house.
There's a break-in.
All right, so we're paying attention. There's a break-in there.
This is
but
definitely
be more
domestic
feel free
violence.
to share your thoughts on what you think as
This
we're
is
watching
definitely
it for the
domestic
first time.
violence for sure.
Yeah.
Let's
Yes,
see.
all the questions. Get the officers out here faster.
One of the most dangerous
I don't have
cases
time for this.
always.
Yeah, great, thanks. Phoenix Police.
This is in Phoenix.
How you doing? Whoa! Put hands!
What did he have in his hands? Curious. What did he have in his hands?
How you doing?
Oh, he has a
Gun.
gun, dude.
Gun.
He has a gun. He
Straight-
has a gun, dude.
Come on.
Wow.
Come on, man.
How you answer the door with a gun, bro? You heard Phoenix Police. You heard it.
Whoa! Put
Oh, then he put it behind his back right there. Yeah. And then here, I could see where they have a case here, Savory, and I'll tell you why. The person answered the door with a gun, right? Person answered the door with a gun. He puts that gun behind him, okay? And then it looks like he went to go put the gun down on the floor. So
Yeah,
I could
again.
see where there
me-
could be a case of
Yeah.
use of
Let's see
force
another
issue
few
there.
seconds really quick. I want to see something. The other officer.
Back away from the gun. Get back and get out here. Come out here. Come out. I'm not going to shoot you. Come out here. Come out here. Over here. Over here. Get down on your knees. Get down on your knees. Get down on your knees. Just get down. Just get down. Relax.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like we had another interesting situation where someone. First off, I heard it clearly. Did you hear it clearly? Phoenix Police.
Yeah, like read the case. The call wasn't for him. Read the case. The call wasn't for him or something like that. Okay. So yeah. We don't know the
Okay.
details,
We'll
but we wanted to
definitely
pull it
look
up, so
into
we
it.
appreciate. Yeah, we'll look into it.
But
But from
I
what we
tell you
saw,
right now, I tell you
yeah,
right
from
now,
what you saw,
I'm
what you
not
think?
answering the door with my gun if I hear police, NYPD. I'm putting my gun away, right? So
Yeah, you
just
know, it's
saying.
like even you know the police. Okay, I understand. Maybe he put the gun back, but look, it's tough. Like you're answering straight with a gun to the police. I'd rather not open, right, and say, "Do you have a warrant?" or "Come back," or
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't know. And then if I am gonna come out, why would I come out with a gun to the police? You know, it again. You know, there's different variables, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Buffmore. Please continue to follow. I think we might continue this tomorrow. I don't know. We may have another topic tomorrow that we want to cover, but it is very important that we start looking at this more differently and have a better conversation, one that is not predicated on race, but more predicated on crime. How are we going to deal with crime? How are we going to deal with the aftermath of crime, right? If we're going to put people in jail, what do we do when we put them in jail? How are we going to help them? We've seen incarceration has not helped people because it only lets them out to do more crimes, right? We made all sorts of arguments about that. But why are people getting themselves into these situations in the first place? And why are people demonizing the police? Is it easy to demonize them? Are they held accountable? We covered all those things. What are some of the things our media is saying about these police officers? We covered all that. And now to our final segment, Savory, you can take it away. I'm going to roll that screen here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be pretty quick, but this is on the heels of how the movement BLM started, right? We're not going to talk about the movement now. We might have another episode about that. We can break some of that down. But this is how things get manipulated in our society, right? I want to show this, right? To specifically have people understand the circumstances of these cases more in depth, right? So check this out. This is in the Michael Brown case. Is the Michael Brown versus the U.S. Department of Justice. There was no evidence to contradict Officer Darren Wilson's claim that Brown reached for his gun. The investigation concluded that Wilson did not shoot Brown in the back. He did not shoot Brown as he was running away, that Brown did stop and turn toward Wilson. That in these next steps, several witnesses stated that Brown appeared to pose a physical threat. That claims that Brown had his hands up in an ambiguous sign of surrender are not supported by physical or forensic evidence, and sometimes materially inconsistent with that witness's own prior statement with no explanation credible or otherwise account. You may be inclined to think this is a summary from a white conservative, alt-right, maybe white supremacist. You would be wrong. These words came from Tanish Coates, the critical social justice pusher. Michael Brown never said hands up, don't shoot. That was a clear lie, not by the right or the left, but by one of the witnesses who later admitted as much.
I remember
Don't
that
miss the
witness.
last line. Claims that Brown had his hands up in an ambiguous right to surrender are not supported by the physical and forensic evidence. Why do I read that, right? I want to encourage people that the facts matter, right? It's not about if he should have died or not. Nobody should die at the hands of the police, and we also got to realize the police have a difficult job. But when we see the video clips of something happening, right? If the Kyle Rittenhouse case, Andrew Coffey, and these cases that were televised, they're rarely televised. When you look at these cases that are televised, you realize there's more that meets the eye. Evidence matters, the truth matters, and you can't say the justice system is biased based on a YouTube clip you see. All right? So let's remember, let's get to the evidence. It's what we try to do in this show. We appreciate everybody joining us. Buff B. Moore is the first time we're seeing you here live, so we appreciate you very much. And join us if you miss us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. Handle right there on the screen. Macho Fix 88 Savory Edition.
I caught that.
Follow us on TikTok. We go live. Instagram, Drinks with a Nobody. Our Discord is Drinks with a Nobody. YouTube channel. If you're here right now, you're likely on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button. Not only do we want you to hit that subscribe button, if you're still here, please hit that like button as well. Show us some love. Helps us with the algorithm, so we appreciate you very much.
Before we close,
Yes,
I
sir.
have a question because I think it's important for our viewers. What time do you go live on TikTok?
I'm usually live on TikTok. It does depend on my work schedule, but late afternoon. So early is 2, late is 4. So unfortunately, I don't have that exact time. I think Macho, you do have more of an exact time, right?
Yeah, I go live usually around 5:30 a.m. ish because I'm a night worker. So I go live around that time because usually at work it is dead and I have time to go live and take some guests. So why do you go live? Tell the audience real quick, why do you go live on TikTok? And what's the difference between here and TikTok?
Yeah. So here we do more certain specific topic where we kind of flesh it out, even though it's still live and unscripted. We have fun with this. But my TikTok, I'm more personally diving into a certain conversation and really having dialogue to let people actually speak about these certain topics and ideas. So we try to do a lot of the listening, but we also give our honest thoughts when we have guests in and all that. But it works a bit different here. Macho and I are talking a bit more, trying to educate and also learn from the comments. Over there, when we go live on TikTok, is a little different kind of engagement.
We actually want to listen to our guest. Yeah, we want to have our guest on, come to send an invitation, come on our live show, and take a few moments to share your position on what you think and what your thoughts are, and we'll take it from there. So that's the difference between our TikTok channels and our YouTube channel. So here at Drinks with a Nobody, we don't believe in any last calls. So even though the show's ending, let's keep the conversation going.